While an empire collapses outside, he stands here alone, surrounded by gold, surrounded by silence. The Tsar. For centuries, his family ruled over one of the largest empires on earth, an empire built on power, fear, and absolute control. But now, beyond the palace walls, something has changed. The people are no longer afraid. Across the streets of the capital, hunger spreads through the crowds. Factories stand still. Soldiers question their loyalty. Families struggle to survive while the palace remains untouched by the suffering outside. Years of war, poverty, and broken trust have pushed the empire to the edge of collapse. And from that desperation, a movement begins to rise. Workers leave the factories. Farmers abandon their fields. Even soldiers begin turning against the throne they once swore to protect. Tonight, thousands move through the city with one destination in mind: the Winter Palace. And inside its golden halls, the Tsar still waits, unaware that his final hours in power have already begun. The unrest quickly turns into a march. At first, only small groups move through the streets. Workers, farmers, students, former soldiers. But with every corner they pass, more people join them. The sound of footsteps grows louder. So do the voices. For the first time in years, the people feel something stronger than fear: hope. Ahead of them stands the first barrier protecting the Tsar's world. Rows of armed soldiers block the narrow streets leading to the palace. Rifles ready, faces cold and exhausted. For a moment, everything stops. No one moves. No one speaks. The revolution now stands face to face with the empire. The officers shout commands. Weapons are raised. But many of the soldiers are starving themselves. Many have lost brothers in war. Many no longer believe in the throne they are defending. And then, one soldier lowers his rifle. Another follows. Then another. The line begins to break apart. The crowd slowly moves forward as the soldiers step aside. The first wall of power has fallen. And for the first time that night, the road to the Tsar stands open. The crowd pushes deeper into the city. Smoke rises between the buildings as thousands move toward the palace gates. What once seemed impossible is now happening in real time. Ahead of them stands the entrance to the Tsar's world. Massive iron gates, stone walls, barricades guarded by the last loyal defenders of the empire. The officers inside the palace still believe the walls can hold. That fear will stop the people before they reach the heart of power. But outside, the pressure keeps growing. The crowd slams against the gates again and again. Wood cracks, metal groans. The sound echoes through the streets like thunder. Inside the palace, panic begins to spread. Servants rush through the corridors. Officials gather documents. Doors are locked. Orders are shouted from room to room. Yet with every passing minute, the chaos moves closer. Then suddenly, a loud crack cuts through the noise. One of the iron locks breaks. The gates begin to open, slowly at first, then all at once. And as the crowd floods into the palace grounds, the empire begins to collapse from within. The palace, once filled with music and celebration, now feels cold and empty. Long golden corridors stretch into silence. The sound of distant footsteps echoes through the halls as the revolution moves closer and closer to the center of power. Most of the Tsar's advisors have already fled. The officials who once promised loyalty now disappear into the shadows, trying only to save themselves. Inside the throne rooms, abandoned papers cover the tables. Candles still burn beside untouched meals. Doors swing open in the wind. The empire is no longer being defended. It is being abandoned. But deeper inside the palace, the Tsar remains, alone. He stands near the tall windows overlooking the city. Smoke rises into the night sky beyond the palace walls. For the first time, the noise of the crowd can be heard from inside the royal halls. Every step coming closer carries the weight of history. The revolutionaries move carefully now. No shouting, no cheering, only silence and determination. At the end of one final corridor stands a large golden door. Behind it is the man who ruled an empire for generations. One of the revolutionaries slowly reaches for the handle. The hallway falls completely silent, and then the door begins to open. The doors open slowly. The revolutionaries step inside, expecting chaos, expecting resistance, expecting the final battle for the empire. But instead they find silence. At the far end of the room, the Tsar stands alone beneath the fading light of a chandelier. No guards remain beside him. No generals, no advisors. Only the man who once ruled millions. For a long moment, nobody moves. The crowd that crossed the city, broke through the gates, and marched through the palace, now stands face to face with the ruler they once feared. The Tsar slowly turns toward them. His face is pale, exhausted, not angry, not proud, only aware that everything is over. Outside, distant fires continue burning across the capital. Inside, the room feels frozen in time. One revolutionary steps forward, another follows behind him. But no one raises a weapon, no one speaks. Because in this moment, the empire has already fallen. The power that once filled these halls is gone. The Tsar looks around the room one final time, at the golden walls, at the empty throne, at the world that is slipping away before his eyes. Then slowly, he lowers his head, and without a single word, the rule of the Romanovs comes to an end. The palace falls into silence. The revolutionaries slowly lower their weapons as the reality of the moment settles over them. For generations, the Romanovs ruled with absolute power. And now, it is over. Outside the palace walls, the city continues to burn. Crowds flood the streets, statues are torn down, imperial flags disappear into the smoke-filled night. Word of the Tsar's downfall spreads quickly across the empire. Some celebrate, some fear what comes next, and many simply watch, uncertain about the future that is beginning to unfold before them. Inside the palace, the grand halls already feel abandoned by history itself. The throne stands empty. The chandeliers flicker above silent rooms. The power that once controlled an empire has vanished in a single night. But while the old world collapses, another force is already rising. Far from the palace, inside crowded apartments and hidden meeting rooms, new voices begin shaping the future of Russia. Workers gather around newspapers in whispered conversations. Soldiers speak openly against the old regime. Across factories and city streets, one name spreads faster every day: Vladimir Lenin. He is not standing inside the palace. He does not wear a crown, but in the chaos left behind by the fall of the Tsar, his movement grows stronger with every passing hour. The Romanov dynasty is dead, yet the revolution is only beginning.